Welcome to Rges Algebra 2, Lesson 16B. This is regarding the section 4.7, the equation of a line. Now there are three general forms for the equation of a line, okay, meaning three generic forms where we're not filling in any numbers. The first one would be what we call the general form, ax plus by equals c. This is the general form. And that would be that any time you have two variables to the first degree, you've got a line. Okay. Now we also have what we call the slope-intercept form. And that's the intercept we're talking about in this case is the y-intercept. So if you're given the slope and the y-intercept, or you can read the slope and the y-intercept when you have the form when it's set equal to y equals mx plus b is my form of the equation. So there's three equations that are useful. The third one is called the point slope formula. Or the point slope form. And that means if I'm given one point and a slope, I can find the equation of the line. And that would be of the form y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, where the y1 and the x1 are the plug-in values for my point, and of course the m is the plug-in value for my slope. Okay. So these are three very, very useful equations for the line. Now let me show you how they'd be used. If it says, find the equation of the line that passes through point -1 and -3, and it has a slope of -2, I can use this last form. I would say y minus, what's the y value? -3 equals m, what's the m value? Times x minus, what's the x value of the point? -1. So I'm plugging in three values, 1, 2, and 3, into my last equation above. Simplifying that, I'm going to get y plus 3 equals -2, x plus 1. Distributing, I'm going to get y plus 3 equals -2x minus 2, and I'm going to push that to that side, and I'm going to get y equals -2x. -2 minus 3 is -5. And that's a very straightforward way to teach it. And it's not the way they teach it in this book. You can look at the book and the way it teaches it, but and you can do it that way, and that's fine. And you can do that by just, it's as straightforward. I've taught it that way, but I think this is actually easier. Memorizing three formulas when I'm given a point and a slope, I'm going to use the third. Okay. Use the third formula above. All right, now, let's do one more example. I'm given a point and a slope. I'm going to use the point slope formula. Let's write it out. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Plug in values for y1, m, and x1. Y minus y1 is the y value in the point, equals m is given the slope, x minus x1 is the x value in the point, Simplify, distribute. We're going to get y, whoops, I'm sorry. I'll just go up here. Y minus 1 equals negative 3x plus negative 3 times negative 3. Negative times negative is positive. 3 times 3 is 9. And now move that to that side. By adding it, we're subtracting it now, so we want to add. Y equals negative 3x. 9 plus 1 is 10. And that's how we do those problems. That would take care of 1 through 14. And, let's see. Yeah, all of them the same. And then 16, 17, or 15, 16, 17 are your word problems. Now let's go to the next idea. Okay, let's say we're given 2 points. Then we're going to use the 2 points to find the slope, and then we use the slope and either point we want to plug into the point-slope form to find the equation of the line. So let's go ahead and do that. My 2 points are point 1, 1 comma 2, point 2, 4 comma negative 1. To find the slope, recall it's the change in the y over the change in the x. So I begin with the y's first. I'm always going to go in the same direction, meaning from the first point to the second. So I'm going in the negative direction. I'm going down or to the left on the number line. So this would be negative. And from 2 to negative 1 is 3. And now we're looking at the y's. I'm going from 1 to 4, so I'm going in the positive direction on the number line by 3. And so simplify that. My slope is negative 1. Now I'm going to use my point slope formula. Write it out. That was supposed to be a 1. y1 equals m times x minus x1. I'm going to plug in values for x1, y1, and m. Now, I could choose either point 1 or point 2. I will choose point 1. Y minus 2 equals m, which is negative 1. X minus the x value in point 1 is 1. Now I'm going to simplify. Y minus 2 equals negative x. Negative 1 times x is negative x. Negative times negative is positive. 1 times 1 is 1. Move that to the other side. Y equals negative x. We're subtracting 2. We're going to add 2. 1 plus 2 is 3. And there's my formula, or my equation of the line. What if I had decided to choose point 2 instead? I'd do the very same thing. I'd go y minus y1, writing the general form, equals m times x minus x1. I'd plug in for x1, m, and y1, and now I'm using point 2. Okay. The y it's going to be minus, and the y value is a negative 1. My m value is negative 1. X minus my x value for point 2 is 4. We're going to distribute. First we're going to simplify this. Minus a negative is y plus 1. Distribute. Negative 1 times x is negative x. Negative times negative is positive, and 1 times 4 is 4. We're going to move this to the other side, and we're going to get y equals negative x. I'm adding 1, so I want to subtract 1. 4 minus 1 is 3. Notice these two values are the same, which is what I would be expecting. I could plug in either point 1 or point 2, and it does not matter. So let me do that again for you with a second example. Again, you're going to use your 2 points to find your slope. Always go from the first point to the second point. We're going to do the y's first, the difference in the y's, and then the difference in the x's. I'm going to pause it. You try to figure it out and check yourself. And now, so I went from -5 to +4. Just think a number line. From -5 to +4, I'm going to the right. So it's going to be positive 9 spaces. And for the x value, I'm going from -2 to 1. It's going in the positive direction, 3 spaces. Simplify, and you get m equals 3. Choose either point. I'm going to choose point 1. You write your general formula. You write your general formula, you plug in your 3 values, and you simplify. Okay, looking for our check for progress. Recall that parallel lines have the same slope. And perpendicular lines have negative reciprocal slopes. So that means if I have a slope of my first line, and let's say it's -2/3, then the parallel line has a slope of also of -2/3. But the perpendicular line to the first line would have a slope of not negative now, but positive, not 2/3, but 3/2. Okay. For our next section of our review, we have, it says you're given an equation, y equals x minus 1, and the point, it says we're given an equation of a line, and we want to find the equation of the line that is parallel to this line that goes through 2, comma 0. Okay, so what is the slope of the original line? It's whatever's the numerical coefficient is before the x. So for our new parallel line, we would use the point slope formula, or the form, and we would plug in 2, 0, for x and y, and 1 for the slope. For our perpendicular line, we would use the point slope form, but now we'd plug in the same 2 values for x and y, but now for my slope, it's the negative reciprocal, which would be -1. Okay. What I would do for the others then, if it doesn't begin in that form, for instance, if it begins y minus 2x equals 2, convert that to the slope-intercept form by solving for y. We're going to add the 2x to the other side. We're going to read off the slope. And now for the parallel line, my points will be, I'll use an x value of 0, a y value of 4. This is my, I'm doing the problem 2 on 116, and my m equals 2 for my perpendicular line, and then I plug it in to the point slope formula. My xy1 would equal 0 still, my y1 would equal 4 still, and now my slope instead is going to be the negative reciprocal, so it'd be -1/2. See how that works? And everything else should be straightforward. I think we've covered it all. Have a good day.